Good morning and good afternoon to all of you. Thanks a lot for being here in this webinar, Threat Hunting the Unknown, which we know that is a really hot topic and really important topic for you all. Let's check a few housekeeping before we start. You can connect to this webinar through your computer or dial in. You have a Q&A box. You can make all the questions that you want, and we will answer that at the end. And another important thing, we are recording this webinar and we will share it with you the upcoming days as well as the presentation. So don't worry that you will have it. You can get a CPE credit with this webinar. I'll leave you with Pedro and Manu, and I hope that you enjoy this webinar.
Thanks, Alicia. Well, I am Manu Santamaria, Senior Product Manager in WashGuard Endpoint Security. I am working in the endpoint security market, in the endpoint security, cybersecurity, since 1998. So for 23 years now, working in the last 11 years as a product manager in the WashGuard Endpoint Security portfolio. And it's a pleasure to have with me to Pedro Uría, our last director. Could you please introduce yourself, Pedro?
Sure. My name is Pedro Uría. I'm the director of WashGuard Labs, and I've been in charge of the lab. That is where we do all the fighting against malware and hackers for the last 13 years. So I've been around some of the latest threats and some of those that were pretty old back in the day. So have seen a little bit of everything up to date.
Thanks, Pedro. So today we are going to talk about threat hunting. The first thing we want to do is to explain why threat hunting is so important. Later on, we will explain the difference between threat detection and threat hunting, because there is some kind of confusion there. And the next part, Pedro Uría will be explaining a day in the life of the threat hunter, what they do every day, every morning, every hour, every minute, and some examples of hunting detections we want to show you. And finally, we want to let you know how threat hunting can help you to provide managed services to your customers. So a lot of content, so we will start with that without losing any time. So first, why threat hunting is a must. So what we're seeing is that the governments are hiring cyber experts, and the criminal organizations are also training tens of thousands of hackers. Governments in US, in Germany, in Russia, or in North Korea are hiring tens of thousands of cyber experts as well. And those hackers, of course, that are well trained, they are clever people, and they know how the companies are being protected. So they are adapting their attacks to the security models that the companies are using. And for that, they are using goodware. They are not using malware in many of their attacks. They are using the applications that are already installed in the systems, in the servers, in the computers of the customers, because they know that if they use PowerShell or Command Shell, they can have success with their attacks. They are using emails to get entry into the companies. And they are also exploiting the vulnerabilities, the zero-day vulnerabilities, because it's a very good way to gain privilege and to get into the systems. And they are even recruiting insiders. So they are convincing some people in the organizations to work for them. They are obtaining a great benefit, so they are even recruiting insiders, so they will have admin credentials and a knowledge about the company's security in place with thanks to that insiders. It's important to know that nowadays 75% of the successful attacks are using fileless and malwareless techniques. Malwareless means that they are not using a malware created for the attack, but using applications already installed in the computer, such as PowerShell, scripting tools, or Command Shell, or fileless attacks. So these are attacks that don't use the disks for anything. All the attacks is in memory. And another interesting data is that the advanced cyber attacks are being detected after almost 200 days in average. The trends that we are seeing is that the operating systems and the security vendors are implementing application markets, are implementing attestation models and zero trust models, trying to not to allow unknown applications, just to control the applications that are being executed in the systems. But the hackers know it, and the hackers are gaining in number and in expertise as well, and they are adapting to that security models. So that trends have some consequence. The hackers are using exploits, are using zero-day vulnerabilities, and they are using malwareless techniques. So using goodware in order to implement the attacks. This is known in the market as living off the land attacks. They are stealing the credentials in many cases in order to gain a privilege, and they do it in some cases recruiting insiders, as I mentioned before. But all the consequences can have a solution, and the solution is part of the solution at least is to have an EDR, an endpoint detection and response solution with anti-exploit technologies, continuously monitoring what the applications are doing, and including threat hunting capabilities. With threat hunting, what we do is trying to find unknown attacks, monitoring everything that is happening in the applications and everything that the users are doing, trying to find suspicious activities. And with that, we will detect TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures used by hackers. And it's important that the threat hunting capabilities are in real time when possible. I mean, if we are detecting events coming from the endpoints that are suspicious, we should notify of it in real time when possible. We can have different kind of attacks with different level of sophistication. There are known attacks that are mostly detected by antivirus, or even unknown attacks that are also detected by the next generation antivirus or EDR solution, because they implement generic techniques to detect known and unknown attacks. The problem is when the hackers get credentials and they are able to act as administrators in the corporate environments. Remember that they are even recruiting insiders, so they not only have the credentials to access with admin privileges, but also they know the security measures that are implemented in the organization. So they have a lot of advantages there. So it is important that we can do hunting and to identify suspicious activities depending on the level of sophistication of the attacks. Whoops. Excuse me, I'm trying to here we are. So threat hunting, if we see threat hunting from a different angle, we can say that threat hunting is focused on detection, is not prevention. What we are doing is for those applications that are executed, we are monitoring every event that of those applications, trying to detect suspicious activities. And the focus of hunting is not detecting the standard malware or the standard ransomware, but the more advanced attacks that are evading the traditional security or the EDR deployed in your organization. So we are detecting living off the land attacks using fileless and malwareless attacks techniques. So with that situation, with the number of hackers on a rise, with knowing that that there are advanced cyber attacks using the credentials stolen in servers or through RDP attacks, through brute force attacks. What some security IT administrators are asking is, are we ready for an attack? Are we already breached? Are we prepared for an attack? These are the typical questions that sorry, I am trying to move forward in the slides. And it's going a bit slowly sometimes. The reality is that there are more and more cyber attacks. In this graph, we can see the latest cyber attacks in the different countries. And the customers are more and more concerned. And the problem is that they don't even know what to do in order to improve their security posture. But what we are seeing is that the companies, especially starting for the big ones, what they are doing is to add threat hunting capabilities. We can see here an article where the White House is saying that they are adding proactive threat hunting. Let's talk now about the difference between threat hunting and threat detection, right? This is the definition of Gartner of threat detection and threat hunting. Threat detection is what we know. The next generation and the EDR solutions are integrating a lot of technologies, tens of technologies, in order to detect known and unknown malware. And with those technologies, they are preventing the malware from being executed, generating some alerts, and those alerts in some cases might cause that I need to give a response if there is an incident. This is threat detection, is to detect known and unknown malware with different techniques, but always detecting attacks that happen in the past as well. So it's not proactive, I would say. And the threat hunting process is a different thing. Maybe Pedro, you can explain this better than me.
Okay. So basically, what we do in threat hunting is we're basically trying to act as if we were the attackers. And what we do is we formulate hypotheses of how an attack could happen. It could be a brand new hypothesis, or it could be a variant of an attack that already exists. So what we do is we hypothesize how that could be, and then what we do is we run that hypothesis against all our the data that we have in our big data banks, and what we do is we see if that attack is actually happening or something similar to that attack is happening, and then we draw conclusions from that. If my hypothesis is actually happening, then I can then it's proven. And I can move forward. If my hypothesis is not correct, I can, move to a different new hypothesis, or I can refine it a little bit and try to run it again. And basically, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to see if one attack that I have thought of can work. And if it does, then what I will do is I will develop a detection for that attack, and then that detection can eventually be implemented in the product, in the endpoint, and at the same time, if the hypothesis is correct, what I will do is I will respond to an incident because that is happening in one client.
Okay, Pedro. So thank you very much. So what is not threat hunting? Threat hunting is not about waiting for an alert. It's proactive. I am not waiting an alert in order to respond or to do an action. Threat hunting is something that is proactive. Threat hunting is not even to search for indicators of compromise or threat intelligence. if I search in the data lake for indicators of compromise, that could help us to identify new kind of attacks. But with that, I am not detecting unknown attacks. What I am looking for with threat hunting is to detect something new, something that I don't know how to detect with the threat detection capabilities. So threat hunting is not a replacement for the threat detection, but is a complement to the threat detection. The better you are in threat detection, the less you will need threat hunting. Of course, if you are not allowing any malware, any attack, which is, I would say, impossible, you will not need threat hunting. So the better you are in threat detection, the less you will need threat hunting. And threat hunting is not a process that can be 100% automated. Threat detection can be 100% automated, I would say, but threat hunting it's a creative process. You need people with threat hunting. It's human analytic centric practice, and as Pedro explained, you need to formulate hypotheses. You need to have a mindset of a hacker. You always need to be thinking that the customers are compromised. You need to assume that there is a breach in our customers. You need to be continuously searching, trying to find unknown attacks. And I guess that sometimes it will be tough for the Pedro's team to be all the day trying to find unknown attacks because, well, as I said before, the better you are in threat detection, the more challenging will be to find something new with threat hunting. But this is the work they do every day. And here the visibility is a key point, because the more you see that the applications and the users are doing in endpoints, the more chances you will have to see something suspicious, some suspicious activity. Also, it's important to mention that the threat hunting platforms that you will see in the market will include features to help you to do a good response to a potential incident. Those platforms usually include the ability to identify the root cause of the attack. They give detailed information about incidents and data breaches using graph views, using automated investigations, and so on. And also, in many of them, you will see that the indicators of attacks or the suspicious activities that they identify are mapped to the MITRE matrix. The MITRE matrix is a standard in the security that is classifying all the attacks in tactics, which is the goal of the hacker. They want to escalate privilege, they want to move laterally, and they are classifying also the techniques, so how the hackers are trying to get that goal. An important point, because the MITRE matrix will add extra information about the techniques, about the tactics, giving you a powerful information in order to reduce the attack surface and to contain these attacks in the futures. And finally, in the threat hunting platforms, you will find policies to automatically give a response to potential attacks. As I said, the visibility is a key part in threat hunting. Maybe Pedro, you can share your experience here.
Yeah, basically, it's no secret that the more information you have, the more visibility you have, the more successful that you will be hunting hackers and stopping attacks. So basically, what we are always looking for to gather as much intelligence as possible. We do it through multiple sources. We have agreements with other vendors, and we're part of alliances that share intelligence. And on top of that, we do have our own research and our own team that it does obtains information, and it does research regarding the latest attacks and everything that is going on in the wild. And at the same time, one of our most powerful tools is that we get lots of telemetry from the endpoints, and that telemetry is what it allows us to see attacks happening in real time and to learn from those attacks. It's really important to learn of the data that you get from attacks that are happening. So we use all that to fight against future attacks.
Thanks, Pedro. And the endpoint telemetry, we really think is a key telemetry. Of course, if you have telemetry from different sources, it's always better, but the telemetry in the endpoint is especially important as it allows us to see what the applications acting as a malware, what they are doing. So that's why we have a strong focus on gathering every single thing that is happening in the applications that are running in the laptops, in the workstations, and in the servers. So with the visibility, with the complete visibility, we can flip this notion. So the defender needs to close all holes, but the hacker needs to just find one hole to get in. With threat hunting, we can flip this notion. So the hacker needs to hide all his traces, but the defender needs to just find one trace to detect the intrusion. So threat hunting allows us to be in a position to detect even the more sophisticated attacks, just having one trace of the attack carried out by the hacker. So now, Alicia, we can do the first question that we wanted to add in our pools. So the question is, are you currently providing threat hunting services? Only one answer is allowed here. Please let us know.
Let's wait a few more seconds because we still have people voting.
Okay. Okay, interesting. So I see that 35% of you are not providing these services, but I see that there is a lot of interest in providing them in the future, or you are also receiving this through a managed service provider. Okay. We can go to the next question. Whenever you want, Alicia. So now we would like to know the options that your customers value the most in a hunting service. In this case, you can select more than one option. Just select those that you think that your customers value the most.
Just wait a few more minutes. People still voting. A little bit more.
Okay. Wow. So very interesting to see that the customers are especially concerned about how to respond to a security incident, which is normal, I think. Okay. And it is also surprising that recommendations for configuration of security solution is the second one. Interesting. Thank you. All right. So let's continue with the presentation. I think that Pedro, now is your turn. You will talk about the tough life of the threat hunters.
Okay, excellent. Well, a little bit about threat hunters, because it's a term that is used more and more in our world, but what are really threat hunters and what do they do? I'm going to talk about our experience and the way our team is built. It may vary depending on the vendor, but we have a dedicated team of experts to do threat hunting. So we do this all day, all year long. So that's why it may be a little bit different from other security solutions. So who are our hunters? Who are they? Well, basically we are lucky enough to have a great team of security experts. They are both experts in the field of malware reversing analysis and in the field of let's say ethical hacking. They are really versed on how to attack companies. And what do they do? Well, basically their job is one that is at the same time really simple and really complex. What they do is they hunt cyber criminals in their attempt to attack organizations that they are under our protection. So basically during their daily job, what they do is they try to see if somebody's trying to breach one of the companies we protect, and that's the main focus. They are not worried about malware that we already know. They are not really worried about techniques or attacks that we already know. What they are trying to do is to catch the bad guys with the new techniques and new ways of breaching companies that they are not known in the field yet. Okay, so how do they do this? How they hunt these cyber criminals? Well, there is a big part that of their time that they spend investigating and discovering. They analyze existing attacks. They study what are the latest delivery methods, both of malware that is used to enter companies, and another big part of the job is to assess the latest vulnerabilities, because that's something that especially lately, and it's a couple of examples that I'm going to show you how we do it with our threat hunting platform, where it's really important to have those vulnerabilities really well assessed. And they are always studying new trends and techniques. And if they get a piece of malware that is really new, and they do reverse engineer to that malware to see what kind of stages they are using with that malware, how it is being deployed, and how it's being executed. So they do a little bit of that too. And especially they are always looking for the telemetry for anomalies. They are always on the hunt of anomalies. Like Manu was saying, we only need one little track to find a bad guy in the company. If they make a little bit of noise, we will be able to find the bad guy the criminal in the organizations. That's why they are doing it. And they do it by analyzing the telemetry that we get from our endpoints. And once they do all this study and they look at the telemetry, how do they implement measures to stop cyber criminals and to hunt those? Well, what they do is we call them hunting rules. Different vendors have different names for them, but we have expert rules that they implement. So if they are matched against the data that we continuously get from the endpoints, then an indicator of an attack is created, and they investigate that indicator as a possible incident. Some of those hunting rules that they create, those are the expert hypothesis I was talking about prior. Those hunting rules, they can be deterministic, and so that it means that it's pretty much certain that if one of those hunting rules creates an indicator, is probably an attack, and they are going to investigate it. And there are other hunting rules that are more generalistic. They are more, like I was saying, I'm creating a hypothesis. I don't know for sure if it's going to be an attack, but it could be a suspicious, and it needs to be investigated. So they create both types of hunting rules, and from there we get IOAs. That basically is that an automatic alert that it tells the hunter that it has to go check that machine because something suspicious is happening there. Okay, and how where do they do this? Well, they do this in a really advanced threat hunting platform that we have developed and that is called Orion. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to show you the platform, just like a quick view, because it's really big, it's really complex, so I won't have time to go through the platform. But I will show you I will give you a couple of glimpses of how the hunters work in the platform and what they do here. Okay, so when a hunter comes to the platform, comes here, what he does is he's looking for those IOAs, and the first thing he's going to do is check for those to see if there is an attack being happening right now. It needs to go and investigate. Okay. What is extremely important in this platform? Extremely important is the hunting rules. I was mentioning before. These are the hypotheses and the rules that the hunters create themselves with their expertise and with their knowledge. And once one of these rules is met by the data that we get from the endpoint, then an IOA is created. Okay. These hunting rules are mapped to MITRE to give to make it easier for the customers to understand what type of attack or technique is being used or is being reported. Okay, like for example, here we can see that this is a PowerShell hunting rule, and it has a bunch of suspicious PowerShell commands that we are looking for. The hunter has created this rule saying, okay, if any of these PowerShell commands are found in one machine, please alert me, and then he gets an alert and he will go and investigate this case. He can create as many hunting rules as he wants. He can refine them as he wants or she wants. And at the end, we get a hunting rule that it will, we're trying to see if there is somebody doing something suspicious or there is an anomaly happening in one of the machines, in one of our clients. Once, like I was saying, once a hunting rule matches the data that it gets from, that we are getting constantly from our endpoints, then an IOA is created, like the ones you see here. For example, the first one, the Let System Log rule, well, is a hunting rule that is mapped to the file deletion defense evasion technique from MITRE, and that has happened in one of the machines. So what is going to happen? The hunter that is going to go and review this IOA to make sure that an attack is not happening. Or seen it the other way, if this IOA just jumped, it means that they need to go check that everything is okay and inform the customer if it's not, if they are really being attacked. Okay. So I'm going to how the platform is a little bit complex. I'm going to show you a couple of examples and a couple of to give you an idea of how we work day by day. And the first one is going to be a case that everybody knows, or most people know, that is an exploit that happened recently, that is the proxy logon exploit. So I'm going to show how we do this from doing a proactive hunting, showing you how to do proactive hunting in the platform. Okay, so once you have the proxy logon exploit really well analyzed and really well you understand how it happens, what you can do is you can look for it. And how do you look for it? For the first day this happened, one of the hunters, what he did is that he can go and do a proactive search on the platform to see if what he has learned from the attack is met or not in our data, the data that we get. Okay, so for example, in this case, it doesn't have to be a really complex query. In this case, it was pretty simple. It's looking for a parent file that we know is the w3wp.exe and a child file that it has that specific type of names DLL that is going to find, and if it matches, that it means that the exploit is happening right now in one of the machines, and then we can alert the client, the customer. So it's just pretty simple for the hunter to come here and do the query, and this is what we call proactive hunting. And the hunter can do as many queries with as many data as he needs, or to make sure that it finds the attack. Here we have the same attack with a different hunter with a different query. Basically, here is looking at what kind of commands is launching W3WP exe, and you can see in the right hand all the different commands that is launching that it looks like it's being exploited. So the hunter says, okay, this looks really suspicious, all these CMDs, so I'm going to report this to the customer. Okay. Once they find in one machine that this is happening, the attack is happening, what they do is they actually load all the data of that machine for that specific day or that specific moment in time, because we gather, we have all that information in our cloud. So what you are seeing right now is basically, it looks like a process monitor. It's kind of the same concept, but it's we call it, here's what we do, an analysis, in-depth analysis of the machine. And it's going to tell us everything that it was executed and everything that it was loaded, or any file that it was created, or any registry that it was modified. Anything that happened in that machine during that period of time is going to be listed here, and we can go and see what really happened. So we can see here in the how PowerShell. The PowerShell was being launched, and how we have red means suspicious files, and here we have the PowerShell commands that they were being executed. And with this information, that it doesn't matter when it happened. Like this happened like some time ago in March, but we have it. We can go back and look at that information any given time and confirm if this was an attack. In this case, yes, it was an attack, and the customer was informed. Same thing with a different attack, but in this case, what we are looking here is that a specific file, the php.exe file, was created. That's a malicious file. That's why it's in red. But even if it wasn't a malicious file at the time, we can see that it was created, and who was creating it? It was the Exchange server. So the Exchange server was being exploited and was creating files. And so even if it wasn't malware, we didn't know yet that file was malware. We could see what happened, or everything that happened there, all the registry was modification, who was launching what, where. We can see all that. So here we have another view of the same attack. Here we have the process being exploited, and here we have all the PowerShells that they were being created, and all the detections they were being stopped by the protection. But you can see that they were being launched, and here you can see all the files that through the exploitation that they were being created in the machine, or they were trying to create the machine, and again they were stopped by the protection. But you have all the telemetry that it allows you to graph all this anytime. It doesn't matter when it happened in the past. This could happen yesterday, or it could happen a week ago. You have the data to go and to see the attack, and from here you learn how the attack is being perform, and you can protect against variation and modifications of this attack. And then once you create a rule, like in this case, the hunters created a proxy logon web shell rule. That's the name that they gave to this attack. Then here you have the IOA that it happens because it has matched this rule. So now you can go here and say, okay, in this machine here, this attack is happening right now. So we go there, we go to the screen that I just showed you before. We make sure that exactly it's being attacked, and then we can report to the customer. This is one of the exploits that I wanted to show you, and this is the second one. The second one, instead of starting the hunter, instead of starting the investigation from a query, from a proactive query. Here we are going to be in more a reactive approach, and here we already have the hunting rule created. We already have an IOA that it has happened because the hunting rule has a match. So we are going to confirm. What we do is we review the IOA and confirm if we are having a pre-Nymer exploit attack. So that's what we are going to see next. So basically here we already have the hunting rule created by the hunters. They have called it spooler, printing Nymer, CV, blah blah blah. The name for the hunting rule, and here we have the IOA. So it has we have a match in a machine. In this machine, so we need to go and check this machine and make sure that this is actually an attack. So the hunters come here, looks at this and says, okay, this looks like an attack that I need to investigate. So he's going, the hunter is going to go investigate the case. How does the hunter look at the case? Same as I showed you before. They go and they load the data for that machine in that specific day, and they see process by process what is happening here. And they know that we can see here that we have a DLL that is being loaded by the CMD, and this DLL looks suspicious. And then they go here and they see that spool sv.exe is trying to load a DLL that is malicious. So indeed, this is an attack being carried against the pre-Nymer exploit, and we need to inform the customer about the attack, and that's what the hunter does. When they see that the attack is real, they create a report and they inform the customer so they can patch and they can take the measures that they need to take so this doesn't happen to them again. Okay, so that's a little bit what they do. Like I was saying, the hunters, they can run proactive hunting. They can do queries as they want to see if any attack is going on, or they can base the investigation in an IOA that it just happened right now while they were working. And with that, I'm going to the last one was that at the same time, every time you have a hunting rule, you can check if that hunting rule has happened in any other machine, in any other of your customers that you're protecting. So just run, give me more alerts about this hunting rule, and it will give you all the machines where that has happened. That is for MSSPs and for big customers that they have different multiple customers. This is helpful. And now I'll pass you with I'll leave you with Manu so he can continue with the presentation.
Thank you, Pedro. Very interesting examples. I guess that this is a tough work, but very important to make sure every day that the zero-day vulnerabilities, that the new techniques that we can imagine that the hackers can be using, we are checking every day with our cyber experts that our customers are fully protected with the technologies that we have in place. And if not, we generate new indicators of attacks or technologies to protect our customers as soon as possible. So now I want to show you some of the indicators of attacks that we are detecting with hunting. One of them is the brute force attack against RDP. This is one of the most relevant attacks that are happening right now. The hackers are using servers, computers around the world, trying to find RDP servers open, and they do brute force attacks trying to get credentials and get into the organizations. But what we are doing is that to detect that they are using the brute force attacks from the same IP, trying to log in many times in a short period of time, and when that happens, we block the connections from that IPs. So we are containing the attack automatically. All these attacks are mapped to MITRE, as mentioned before. And also, for these attacks, we are, excuse me, here it is. For these attacks, we are showing additional information. Running Jupyter Notebooks, which is a technology that is very recommended when you are working with a huge amount of data. We have in our data lake 3 trillion events stored, so we need technologies that are able to manage huge amounts of data in an easy way. And with the Jupyter Notebooks, we are able to find in our data lake all the entities affected by this attack. So in this case, for example, we will see all the IPs where we were being attacked by the hackers trying to gain credentials in the RDP server. Another example is when we see a command cell with parameters obfuscated. This is used by attackers trying to evade the traditional security protections. Another one is when we see, for example, that with PowerShell, PowerShell is trying to deactivate Windows Defender. This is again a very suspicious activity that we are reporting. And the last example that I wanted to show is a hacker trying to gain persistence and privilege escalation through accessibility features. What the hackers do here is to replace the executable that the system use for launching the accessibility features, putting the executable so it will be launched with admin privileges, and they will take the malicious actions from that moment on. So these were the examples that we wanted to show you related to threat hunting, and now we want to talk about how these threat hunting activities can help you to offer managed services to your customers. The cybersecurity challenge that the customers are facing is that some security solutions are generating a lot of alerts, a lot of suspicious items, and this is generating what is known as alert fatigue. There are many alerts that the customers and even the partners cannot manage because they don't have the people, they don't have the skills, they don't have the time for doing that. And in consequence, if there is an advanced cyber attack, what we are seeing is that those are detected almost 200 days after the attack was started. So it's very important when evaluating a solution to look for solutions that offer some kind of managed services and help you to reduce the number of alerts and including managed services in order to classify the attacks and the applications automatically. What we see is that the customers want to mature in their security level. Some of them, they just have a next generation antivirus, which is a good solution in order to detect unknown and some unknown attacks, but they want to evolve and to increase the level of the security they have, adding EDR, intelligent EDRs. For me, not all the EDRs are equal, and for me, an intelligent EDR are those that helps you to manage the alerts. They prioritize the items that the suspicious items for which they are alerting. They are classifying the applications in an automated way, and they are even including some kind of zero trust protection models. For me, this is an intelligent EDR. So there are different levels of EDRs in the market. The next level could be to add some modules, some add-ons. For example, patch management or multi-factor authentication could be two very good examples of add-ons that will help you to increase your security posture. And finally, to add some kind of threat hunting services is the final step in order to increase your security posture. At the end of the day, the customers want to increase their security level, but they don't have time, they don't have the skills for doing that. But they are really concerned and they want to have predictable costs. They don't want to have any surprise, any malware stealing the intellectual property or encrypting the whole organization, as the ransomware does, implying hundreds of thousands or millions of costs. But as they don't have the skills and the people for doing that, they want to delegate that to partners. And some partners are offering some kind of managed services in order to help the customers to improve their security service, offering a differentiated value proposition, offering true value, because this is something that it will reduce the mean time to detection and the mean time to response, and differentiating with the competitors, not just selling the solutions, but also adding a managed services for not competing with just the price. With the different solutions that you will find in the market, you will be able to give a proper response to the indicators of attacks, to the suspicious items, with the different facilities that we include, such as recommendations, graph views, automated investigation with Jupyter Notebooks, etc., etc. At the end of the day, with this information, we will help you to improve the detection and the response times. Finally, in the last 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I want to show you our protection model. Very quickly, I wanted to let you know that we include 5 main protection layers in our endpoint security products, in our EDR solutions. The 2 last protection layers are managed services. The Zero Trust Application Service is the managed service that we include in our EDR in order to classify every single application. So we don't allow to run any application unless we classify that application as goodware. So we only allow goodware to be executed. And the threat hunting service is also included in our EDR. With that, and the examples that we were showing are included in the threat hunting service included in our EDR solution in order to detect attacks in early stage, in order to detect suspicious activities. As I said at the beginning, the better is the threat detection, the less we need threat hunting service. So fortunately, the indicators of attacks that we are finding with threat hunting service are very few, fortunately, in our customers. But we can relax. For all of these protection layers, we implement tens of technologies. In the threat hunting service, we have what we call a cyber attack radar. This is an engine that, receiving all the events for the endpoints in real time, is trying to find suspicious activities and notify those suspicious activities to our customers. We also use Jupyter Notebooks, and of course, there are people. The Pedro's team is working every day trying to find proactively unknown attacks, unknown techniques, and also ensuring that the current technologies are covering all the attacks that we are seeing in the market. So with that, with the threat hunting service, we do hunting. We notified these attacks through our web console and through email. And we need our partners to help our customers to investigate these indicators of attacks, to make sure that it's a real attack. And in case if it is an attack, we need to contain the attack, we need to stop the breach, and to reduce the attack surface with all the recommendations that we provide. So our portfolio, our WarWar endpoint security portfolio, includes different solutions for the different levels of protection that you want. We have a WashWare EPP, which is the endpoint protection as an offer for the next generation antivirus. We have an intelligent EDR, WashWare EDR, and WashWare EPDR. WashWare EDR is the solution that we sell to the customers that want to add EDR on top of the existing antivirus. And WashWare EPDR is a solution including EPP and EDR technology, so it's for replacing the endpoint security solution in place. We also include endpoint modules in order to increase your security posture without the need of installing a new agent, or with the same agent. You can add patch management, encryption, and other technologies. And the platform that was showing Pedro, the threat hunting platform, is something that we will enable to our partners soon. We want to help them to offer managed services. So it's something that we definitely will be enabling to our partners very soon. So this is all from our side. Hope it was interesting for you. Now we have the last question that we wanted to do. Please let us know your opinion. Alicia, if you can show the last question of our survey today.
Manu, we only have 2 surveys.
Okay. I thought
Okay.
we have a third one.
No, just 2.
All right. So now
Okay.
it's time for questions. If there are questions, we will try to solve them. And here I see some questions. The first question I see, maybe you can help me, Pedro, to answer that is it possible to learn the skills needed to be a hunter?
Yes, it is possible to learn the skills. We actually train people. We actually train new team members that join our security team. So yes, it can be learned. You need to have some knowledge of security knowledge first, but yes, it can be. So yes.
Okay. There is a question: why isn't INDR listed in the pyramid? Yeah, that's a good question. And you are right. It could be added in the pyramid, the network detection and response. But the pyramid was focused on the solutions that we are offering in the endpoint security portfolio, where I am endpoint security product manager, so I am just showing the portfolio in which I am working. But good question, yeah. Also, we could add in that pyramid XDR. XDR is a new concept, very trendy. Extended detection and response with the telemetry coming from different sources, as Pedro explained, from the network, from the MFA solution, from the endpoint. We can correlate that telemetry and trying to find suspicious activities with information from multiple sources. Oh yes, good point.
Manu, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think that I was having a problem with the polls, and now I can see the third question. So if you want me, I can launch it.
Please, thank you.
Okay. Now it is. Here you have it.
Select the threat hunting features you value the most. Okay.
Let's wait a little bit more. People is voting. Yes, we are about to finish. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, just okay, Alicia, there are a couple of more questions. One is, what is the data for this new threat hunting feature? Well, just to clarify that the threat hunting service is already included in our EDR solution, in WatchGuard EDR, in WatchGuard EPDR, in Adaptive Defense for those customers or partners who use the Panda portfolio. And the threat hunting advanced capabilities using the platform that Pedro was showing us, the platform that our threat hunters are using, will be enabled soon, probably in 2022. Another question is, what third-party certifications do the endpoint security products have? Well, we have a lot of certifications, not only in the cloud but also in the protection. We can share that with you. Please contact any well, I don't know, any people in Panda, and we will share a paper with all the certifications that we have. Of course, the the ISO 27001 and others are part of the certification that we have. And okay, I think that's all.
Well, thanks a lot to everyone. It was a pleasure to spend this day with you. When we finish the webinar, a survey is going to pop out. So please feel free to give us your opinion so we consider what you think about it, and you can give another ideas of what you want to see in future webinars. So thanks again and have a good day. Thanks, Pedro and Manu, for this wonderful webinar.